Recent assassination attempt on Burkina Faso's revolutionary leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré, coupled with the audacious claims by US General Michael Langley that Traoré is misusing Burkina Faso's gold reserves, has ignited a fire in the hearts of Africans everywhere. From the bustling streets of Lagos to the vibrant markets of Accra, from the townships of Johannesburg to the diaspora hubs in London, Paris and New York, Africans are declaring, enough is enough. The West's relentless interference in our affairs, their plots to destabilize our leaders, and their arrogant assumption that they can dictate Africa's destiny must end. On April 30th, 2025, Africans across the continent and beyond will stage a historic protest, the likes of which have not been seen in decades, to defend Captain Traoré, to demand respect for Africa's sovereignty, and to send a resounding message: if you touch Traoré, you touch all of Africa. The assassination attempt on Captain Traoré, reported just weeks ago, was not just an attack on one man, it was an assault on the aspirations of a continent. Traoré, the 37-year-old interim president of Burkina Faso, has become a beacon of hope for millions of Africans who are tired of neo-colonialism, tired of puppet leaders, and tired of watching their resources plundered while their people languish in poverty. The plot, allegedly orchestrated from Ivory Coast with ties to Western intelligence, aimed to sow chaos in Burkina Faso and silence a leader who dares to challenge the global status quo. But the enemies of Africa underestimated the resolve of her people. As news of the foiled coup spread, social media platforms erupted with messages of solidarity. Adding fuel to the fire, US General Michael Langley, head of AFRICOM, had the gall to accuse Traoré of diverting Burkina Faso's gold reserves to protect his regime rather than benefit his people. These baseless claims, made during a US Senate hearing on April 3, 2025, were met with swift condemnation from Burkina Faso's government and South Africa's economic freedom fighters, EFF, who called them imperialist tactics designed to delegitimize a leader who rejects Western domination. Africans see through this tired playbook: slander, destabilize and destroy. From the assassination of Patrice Lumumba to the toppling of Muammar Gaddafi, the West has a long history of targeting African leaders who dare to prioritize their people over foreign interests. But this time, Africans are ready to fight back, not with weapons, but with the unstoppable force of unity. On April 30th, millions will take to the streets in what promises to be the largest coordinated protest in modern African history. From Nairobi to Dakar, from Addis Ababa to Harare, and from diaspora communities in the Americas, Europe and Asia, Africans will march under one banner, demanding an end to Western meddling and proclaiming their unwavering support for Captain Traoré. This is not just a protest, it is a movement, a celebration of African resilience, and a declaration that the continent will no longer be a pawn in the games of global powers. The world will witness the power of a united Africa, and the tremors of this day will be felt for generations to come. To understand why Africans are rallying behind Traoré with such fervor, we must first understand the man himself. Born in 1988 in Kera, Burkina Faso, Ibrahim Traoré is no silver spoon politician. A shy, intelligent boy who studied geology at the University of Ouagadougou, he joined the military in 2009 and rose through the ranks, earning a reputation for courage and discipline. By 2020, he was a captain leading an artillery regiment in the fight against jihadist insurgents. But it was his disillusionment with Burkina Faso's corrupt leadership, politicians who hoarded wealth while soldiers lacked basic equipment, that propelled him to action. In September 2022, at the age of 34, Traoré led a coup against interim president Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, accusing him of failing to address the insurgency and prioritizing personal ambition over the nation's needs. Since taking power, Traoré has governed with a clarity of purpose that has captivated Africans far beyond Burkina Faso's borders. He has rejected the trappings of power, refusing a salary increase for government officials, and continuing to live on his modest captain's earnings. His radical reforms, nationalizing gold mines, halting the export of unrefined gold to Europe, and building a national gold refinery capable of processing mid-50 tons annually, have struck a blow against neo-colonial exploitation. Traoré has also invested heavily in agriculture, established a national support centre for artisanal cotton processing, and overseen the construction of a new airport in Ouagadougou. These are not mere promises. They are tangible steps toward economic independence and self-sufficiency. But it is not just his policies that have won hearts. Traoré's rhetoric, fiery, unapologetic, and steeped in Pan-Africanism, resonates with a generation hungry for change. At the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, he lambasted African leaders for their beggary, asking, "How can Africa, with so much wealth, become the poorest continent in the world today?" His words echoed the revolutionary spirit of Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso's iconic leader, who was assassinated in 1987 for daring to challenge Western hegemony. Like Sankara, Traoré is young, charismatic, and unafraid to confront the West head-on. He has expelled French troops, accused Paris of supporting terrorism, and forged ties with Russia and Turkey to bolster Burkina Faso's security. Africans love Traoré because he embodies the dream of a liberated continent. He is not a politician making empty promises. He is a soldier who has seen the front lines, who knows the pain of his people, and who is willing to risk everything to give them a future. His commitment to transparency, declaring his assets publicly, stands in stark contrast to the kleptocrats who have looted Africa for decades. His humility, his refusal to bow to foreign powers, and his vision for a self-reliant Africa have made him a symbol of hope for millions. As one ex-user put it, Ibrahim Traoré has ignited a movement that can't be defeated anymore. If the West takes him down, another 1,000 Ibrahim Traoré will rise. The April 30th protests are not just about protecting Traoré, they are about defending the very idea of African sovereignty. For too long, Africa has been a battleground for foreign powers, France, the United States, China and others, who exploit its resources, prop up corrupt regimes and destabilize nations that dare to defy them. The assassination attempt on Traoré, coupled with General Langley's slander, is seen as part of this broader pattern. Africans are tired of seeing their heroes cut down. The memory of Lumumba, Sankara and Gaddafi looms large, and the fear that Traoré could be next has galvanized the continent into action. Africans are ready to defend Traoré because he represents a break from the past, a rejection of the neo-colonial order that has kept Africa subservient. His leadership has inspired a new wave of Pan-Africanism, uniting people across ethnic, linguistic and national lines. In Nigeria, youth are organizing marches under the slogan "Africa for Africans." In Ghana, civil society groups are calling for solidarity with Burkina Faso's struggle. In South Africa, the EFF has vowed to stand with Traoré, warning that any attack on him is an attack on Africa's future. Even in the diaspora, where Africans have long felt disconnected from the continent, Traoré has become a rallying point. As one ex-user in the US declared, "Black Americans are with Africa. They will undoubtedly protest at hands of Ibrahim Traoré." The defense of Traoré is also a defense of Africa's right to self-determination. For centuries, foreign powers have dictated who should lead African nations, often installing puppets who serve their interests. Traoré's refusal to play this game, his expulsion of French troops, his withdrawal from ECOWAS, and his formation of the alliance of Sahel states with Mali and Niger has made him a target. But it has also made him a hero. Africans are ready to defend him because they see in him the possibility of a different future, one where African nations control their own resources, make their own decisions, and chart their own paths. While Africa has no shortage of leaders, few have captured the imagination of the continent the way Traoré has. To understand why, we must compare him to his peers. Many African leaders, even those elected democratically, have been criticized for prioritizing personal wealth and foreign alliances over their people's needs. From Nigeria's Bola Tinubu, grappling with economic turmoil, to Kenya's William Ruto, facing protests over tax hikes, many leaders are seen as out of touch with the struggles of ordinary citizens. Others, like Senegal's former president Macky Sall, have been accused of clinging to power or pandering to Western interests. Traoré, by contrast, is a breath of fresh air. At 37, he is the world's second youngest head of state, a stark contrast to the continent's average leader age of 63. His youth, combined with his military background, gives him a relatability that older career politicians lack. He speaks the language of the streets, addressing the frustrations of a generation that has grown up under corrupt governance and economic stagnation. His actions, nationalizing mines, investing in agriculture, and rejecting Western aid, align with the Pan-Africanist ideals that have long inspired the continent's youth. Traoré's authenticity sets him apart. While other leaders jet off to Western capitals to secure loans or beg for aid, Traoré has called out this dependency, urging Africans to achieve self-sufficiency. His decision to align with Russia and Turkey, while controversial, is seen as a strategic move to diversify partnerships and reduce reliance on the West. Unlike leaders who pay lip service to Pan-Africanism, Traoré lives it, forming the alliance of Sahel states to foster regional cooperation and collective security. Moreover, Traoré's leadership style evokes memories of Burkina Faso's revolutionary hero, Thomas Sankara. Both men took power at 34, both were captains, and both championed radical reforms to empower their people. While Sankara's assassination cut his vision short, Traoré's survival of multiple coup attempts has only strengthened his resolve and his legend. Africans celebrate him because he is not just a leader, he is a symbol of resistance, a living embodiment of the fight for dignity and independence. The protests planned for April 30th are more than a show of support for Traoré. They are a declaration of Africa's awakening. Organisers across the continent and diaspora have been working tirelessly to coordinate this historic event. In Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, tens of thousands are expected to march to the presidential palace, waving Burkinabe and Russian flags in defiance of Western interference. In Nairobi, youth groups are planning a Traoré solidarity walk to the US Embassy, demanding an end to AFRICOM's operations in Africa. In Johannesburg, the EFF is mobilizing its supporters for a mass rally, with banners proclaiming Africa for Africans. In the diaspora, the protests will be equally powerful. In London, African communities are organising a march through Trafalgar Square, while in Paris, activists plan to gather outside the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs to protest France's role in destabilizing the Sahel. In the United States, Black American activists, inspired by Traoré's stand against neo-colonialism, are planning demonstrations in Washington, D.C. and New York City. Africans in diaspora are protesting in support of Captain Ibrahim Traoré and calling on all Africans abroad to stand with Burkina Faso, one ex-user proclaimed, sharing a video of a rally in Atlanta. These protests will not be mere gatherings. They will be a celebration of African unity and a warning to the West. Chants of Hands Off Traoré and Africa Unite will echo through the streets, accompanied by the rhythms of djembe drums and the voices of griots singing praises to Africa's new hero. Social media will amplify the message, with live streams and hashtags ensuring that the world cannot ignore Africa's resolve. This is not a moment of anger alone. It is a moment of joy, of pride, of love for a leader who has dared to dream of a free Africa. The stakes could not be higher. If the West succeeds in destabilizing Burkina Faso or removing Traoré, it will send a chilling message to other African leaders: defy us and you will pay the price. But if Africans stand firm, if the April 30th protests shake the foundations of global power, it will mark a turning point. It will show that Africa is no longer a continent to be plundered or manipulated. It will prove that the spirit of Lumumba, Sankara and Nkrumah lives on in a new generation. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is not perfect. Critics point to his authoritarian measures, his crackdowns on dissent, and the ongoing jihadist insurgency that controls nearly 40% of Burkina Faso. But for millions of Africans, these challenges pale in comparison to his vision. Traoré is not just fighting for Burkina Faso. He is fighting for all of Africa, for the right to determine our own future, to control our own resources, and to live with dignity. His survival is a testament to his courage, and his leadership is a call to action. Brothers and sisters, April 30th is our day. It is the day we tell the world that Africa will not be silenced. It is the day we stand with Captain Ibrahim Traoré, not because he is infallible, but because he is ours. a son of Africa who dares to dream of a better tomorrow. Join the protests, raise your voice, share the message. Let the world know that if they touch Traoré, they touch all of Africa. Let us show them the power of a united continent, the strength of a people who refuse to be broken, and the love we have for a leader who has given us hope. As Traoré himself said, "My generation does not understand how Africa, with so much wealth, can be the poorest continent in the world." Let us answer his call by building an Africa that is strong, sovereign, and free. On April 30th, let us shake the globe. Let us make history. Let us show the world that Africa is awake and we will never sleep again. As I finish, let me say that, as the sun rises on the eve of the historic April 30th, 2025, protests, where millions of Africans and their diaspora kin will march to defend Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a stark truth emerges. Few African leaders command such fervent loyalty, such unyielding love, such readiness to be shielded by the people. Across the continent, from the Atlantic shores of Senegal to the Indian Ocean coasts of Mozambique, Africans are disillusioned with leaders who, unlike Traoré, seem to prioritize personal gain, foreign approval, or political survival over the dreams of their people. The adoration for Traoré, Burkina Faso's revolutionary captain who has become a Pan-African icon, is not merely a reaction to his charisma or youth, but a reflection of his radical commitment to principles that resonate with a continent yearning for dignity, self-reliance, and authentic leadership. To understand why African leaders are rarely loved or defended with such passion, and what they must do to earn this support, we must confront uncomfortable truths about governance in Africa and chart a bold path forward. The absence of widespread love for most African leaders stems from a deep-seated betrayal of the social contract between the governed and those who govern. For decades, many leaders have presided over systems that perpetuate inequality, stifle opportunity, and entrench dependency on foreign powers. In countries rich with oil, diamonds, or fertile land, citizens languish in poverty while elites flaunt wealth amassed through opaque deals with multinational corporations. In Nigeria, for instance, oil revenues have enriched a tiny political class while millions lack basic electricity. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, cobalt and coltan fuel global tech industries, yet local communities see little benefit. This disconnect breeds resentment, not loyalty. Leaders who jet off to Western capitals to secure loans with crippling conditions, only to siphon funds into offshore accounts, cannot expect the masses to rally behind them. Unlike Traoré, who lives modestly and channels Burkina Faso's gold wealth into national development, many leaders appear detached. Their opulent lifestyles a slap in the face to citizens struggling to afford a single meal. Moreover, African leaders often lack the courage to confront neo-colonial influences that undermine sovereignty. Too many acquiesce to the demands of former colonial powers or international financial institutions, signing agreements that prioritize foreign interests over local needs. In contrast, Traoré's bold expulsion of French troops and rejection of IMF loans signal a defiance that resonates with Africans tired of being pawns in global power games. Leaders who attend summits in Paris or Washington, nodding along to agendas that marginalize Africa, lose credibility at home. The people crave leaders who, like Traoré, speak truth to power, demanding respect on the global stage rather than begging for scraps. This failure to assert Africa's agency leaves leaders vulnerable without the grassroots support that shields Traoré from both internal and external threats. Another critical factor is the erosion of trust through undemocratic practices. Many African leaders cling to power through manipulated elections, constitutional amendments, or brutal suppression of dissent. In countries like Uganda and Cameroon, presidents have ruled for decades, stifling young voices and crushing opposition. Such actions alienate the youth, who form the majority of Africa's population and yearn for leaders who reflect their aspirations. Traoré, at 37, connects with this demographic not just because of his age, but because he listens, acts, and risks his life for their future. Leaders who jail activists, censor media, or deploy security forces against peaceful protesters cannot inspire the kind of devotion Traoré enjoys. The people defend him because they see him as a partner in their struggle, not a dictator lording over them. The lack of a unifying vision also sets most leaders apart from Traoré. Africa's challenges, poverty, unemployment, climate change require bold, transformative ideas that rally the masses. Yet, many leaders offer recycled promises or divisive rhetoric that pits ethnic groups against each other. Traoré's vision of a self-reliant, united Africa rooted in the legacy of Thomas Sankara ignites hope across borders. His speeches calling out the absurdity of a resource-rich continent remaining poor strike a chord because they articulate a collective dream. Leaders who focus on short-term political survival rather than long-term nation-building fail to capture the imagination of their people. Without a vision that transcends personal ambition, they cannot expect the masses to march in their defense. On April the 30th, as Africans march for Traoré, they send a message to every leader. Be one of us, fight for us, dream with us, and we will defend you with all we have. The choice is theirs, to remain distant, unloved and undefended, or to rise as champions of a new Africa, carried on the shoulders of a grateful continent.